Greetings, brothers. Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Hey, sup people? Good evening. How's everybody? Carter, what's happening? Nathan, Bain, Mark and Robert, good evening, good evening. How's everybody? Hope you've had a good day. Sorry, I was just getting started and my daughter woke up, so I had to... It's always the way. So, extra long intro today. But we're here, ready to do some painting. I'm going to be continuing with these incursors that I was working on Thursday night. I'm all good. I've eaten way too much chocolate today. I guess like the shops all have their Christmas candy in now, and I'm a fiend when it comes to candy, so apart from eating too much chocolate today, which I mean is a good problem to have, I guess, I'm all good. I ordered a box of Death Company today. I've been talking about that for a while. I did check that I have like 5 Thunder Hammers on sprues in boxes before I ordered them, because I was like, if I don't have a bunch of Thunder Hammers on sprues, I'm not buying another set of Death Company to only get 1 hammer in the box. But fortunately I have a squad of Vanguard Veterans, which I put a lot of Lightning Claws on. So I found like a box that was full of Thunder Hammers from Vanguard Veterans, so I was like, sweet, okay, so I ordered the Death Company. I also ordered another one of these Element Game character brushes. I always talk about them, I swear by them. If you're ever buying anything from Element Games, please use the video description. Please use the link at the top of my YouTube channel, or in my video descriptions. Super appreciated. And then I also ordered one of those paints, the 2 thin coat paints by Duncan Rhodes that I've been talking about Duncan Rhodes, sorry. I've been talking about getting for a while, or talking about trying for a while. So I went ahead and ordered, I think it's called Demon Red. It's supposed to be a substitute for Evil Sun Red. It said Evil Sun Red, but I mean, I guess he meant Evil Sun Scarlet. I hope it's this colour. If it's not, that will be annoying. But I think I have another pot of this anyway, but this pot is at the end of its life. So I've ordered a Demon Red. Hopefully, it's all said it was in stock, so I'll probably get that all this week. And then I also ordered the new Sanguinius limited edition book today. So it's been an expensive day for me, but good day nonetheless. Anyone else? You're doing a water fast for 14 days? Does that mean you do nothing but water for 14 days? You maniac, dude. How do you... Surely not. Acrylbot. Oh, where's my music? Sorry. Can you hear music? No. There we go. Acrylbot and Assault Squad. I mean, I recently found out that Artist Opal brushes are rebranded to Rosemary & Co brushes. I did not know that. 100% no food for 14 days, man. Good for you. I don't think I could manage that. How far into it are you? I was gonna say, like, do you not get like headaches and all sorts of stuff when you do that, or how does that work? So I'm going to start by just basically put a second coat of grey on some of these joints. Some of them are fine, but some of them have a little bit of red still bleeding through, because obviously I undercoat my models red. So my plan is to just, like, all I need to do before I get on to putting washes on these guys is finish up like some of these joints and the armor pieces. So while I do that, and then wait for it to dry, and then I'm going to get on to washes. So hopefully going to be doing some washes on these guys tonight, maybe in like an hour's time. I always like getting to the wash stage because it feels like I've made real progress. I've been working on these guys for a while though. On 14 days for no food, I would be terribly grumpy starting on day 3. I think I'd be grumpy on day 1, man. I'm like a compulsive snacker. Like, I snack all, like, I don't go an hour without eating food. Like, I don't, like, often at meal times I don't finish my meals, but like during the day I just snack constantly. Sometimes I snack healthily, but like sometimes it's snack really badly as well. So But yeah, I'm a big snacker. I don't know if I could do even a day without food. Can you drink coffee? Because if you can't have coffee as well, then I mean I'd be on like proper caffeine headaches as well, or lack of caffeine headaches, I guess. Well, stay strong, Carter. Good for you. Hello, Brick. No coffee as well. That's crazy. I mean, I guess that's a real detox, though, huh? Have you done it before, or is this the first time you're doing it? I have to try and be careful here, because every mistake I make on these little armor joints probably means I need to go back and touch them up afterwards. I kind of don't want to waste my time going back and doing red over mistakes again. I mean, mind you, maybe I don't touch up the mistakes, because probably when I wash them, I'll probably end up hitting the red a little bit with some of the washes anyway, so maybe it would be better to just do this, then do the washes, and then come back on the red if there's any mistakes afterwards. There's a mistake right there. The world gains no benefit from Mike not having coffee. Yeah, I feel the same, Mike. My wife often says to me, she speaks to me in the morning, and I say, you didn't speak to me, and she says like, yeah, I spoke to you, and I was like, don't speak to me before I've had a cup of coffee, because my brain's not working at that point. Good evening, Sellers. He's working at the hospital today, and I hope we could use the company. I hope you're alright, Sellers. I didn't know that you worked in the hospital, but hope the hospital is not treating you too rough today. I imagine weekends are probably always busier in hospitals, so... My brother actually is a doctor, so I know a little bit about hospitals. Ah, that was bad. Even Highland Phoenix, how you doing? I bought more Death Company today, Highland Phoenix. You should be proud of me. I also managed to snag the limited edition Sanguinius book, which I'm pretty pleased about, because those pre-orders on some of those limited edition, like, the pre-orders are not supposed to go on sale till 10 AM. I'm pretty sure by the time 10 AM came this morning, they were already sold out. I was refreshing the site from like 9:45. I was like, I want to get this limited edition one for once, because I don't have any... I have the limited edition Blood Angels Codex, but I don't have any of the limited edition novels. I noticed the Astaroth novel was back in stock on hardback though, so if you haven't got it and you want it, I'd say get it now, because like, my experience with the novels on hardback is they don't last long. I'd love to get like Devastation of Baal or Dante on hardback, but like, if you miss them, it's kind of like you missed them and you're not going to get them or whatever. Evening, Brian. Finally made it into stream. Thanks for being here, Brian. Robert went on a keto diet for 9 months. I don't even know what keto is. I don't really do diets all that much. I just try and do exercise every day. I don't manage every day, but I probably manage like 5 days out of the week. So that's my strategy. I do need to do the exercise as well, because like I said, I'm a compulsive snacker. I'm just eating all the time. Howdy. Did I get any magnets for the Death Company? No, dude. I mean, I've got like 30 odd Death Company at the moment, right? Maybe even 40. Maybe even 45. The only thing I don't have is enough with like Thunderhammers and enough with Infernal Pistols. I guess I'm just resolved to having giant Death Company. I'm not gonna magnetize them. like, I could open a drawer and show you about 15 Death Company models with random weapon options. I suppose I could have ripped off their arms and wouldn't have had to buy more Death Company, but yeah, now you mention that, I don't know why I didn't just do that. Oh, I do kind of know why I didn't just do that. I want more Death Company shoulder pads and stuff, because I am thinking that, like, I don't know, I like the flavour. Like, I know that the Primaris Death Company don't necessarily, like, have a lot of flavour in terms of, like, their upgrade sprue was pretty crappy. Whereas, like, I always think that if you buy a box of Sangard or you buy a box of Death Company, you do get a lot of, like, unique heads and shoulder pads. And you also get those chain swords with the blood drops on them and stuff. So they're all kind of unique bits that can be used in various Blood Angels conversions. So that's probably why I just bit the bullet and bought another box of Death Company. I think I'm going to make, like... I was going to say, I think I'm going to make a couple with Infernal Pistols and Plasma Pistols. Sorry, Infernal Pistols and Power Swords. Like, 2 like that. And then I might make, like... 2 with Thunder Hammers. And then maybe I'll leave one on sprue because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with it. The Sanguinius book was today, syntax error. Yeah, dude, I posted about it earlier on my Facebook page. Yeah, you missed it. I'm sorry. You should follow me on Facebook. I do always, like, when there's limited edition stuff, and like yesterday there was Black Friday sales and stuff, I do always try and post about that stuff if I remember about it as well. But yeah, the Sanguinius book was this morning. They don't make it super easy to know when the stuff's coming, honestly, like, because I had to ask a few people in Discord. I was like, when's the Sanguinius book coming? Because it'll be buried in one Warhammer community article, you know, like on warhammercommunity.com. But the problem is I don't read Warhammer Community every day. I mean, I sort of check in with it a couple of times a week, but, like, I guess my thing is, like, I don't care about Age of Sigmar or I guess maybe don't care is the wrong word. I mean, I sometimes look at those stuff, but, like, I'm not, you know, 40k is my jam, I guess. So yeah, I was asking a few people about the Sanguinius book. I mean, I guess the Sanguinius book technically is Horus Heresy, but it'll probably be on Audible, like, next week. They've been pretty good recently at, like, getting the books out on Audible very, very quickly after the physical edition comes out. Brian's got a GT next weekend and he's running successors. Cool, good luck, Brian. What successor traits are you running? I guess you should have at least 10 Thunderhammer models. I mean, you're probably right, Highland Phoenix. So maybe what I need to do is make, like, 3 Thunderhammers, because that would give me 7. Make the other 2 with Infernal Pistols and Power Swords, because I want 5 with Infernal Pistols and Power Swords, so I can run a whole squad of Infernal Pistols and Power Swords. And then maybe what I need to do is grab some of these Death Company that I've got that have stupid weapon options, like Hand Flamers, and rip some of their arms off so I have 10 with Death Company. I mean, I do think at some point Primaris Death Company will become a thing, and our Firstborn Death Company might become redundant, robust. I guess redundant would be the right word, not robust, sorry. I felt that way when I bought my last box of Sangre Guard. I think last box of Sangre Guard was, like, towards the end of summer, maybe. And I was like, am I really buying more Sangre Guard? Because, like, surely at some point they're getting replaced by Primaris Sangard, right? And I kind of felt that way a little bit about buying more Death Company now. I was like, am I really buying more Death Company? Surely at some point they're getting replaced, but I mean, it doesn't seem like the replacements... If there is replacements, we know nothing about it except, like, a rumour from Reddit every 6 months or something, so I guess I've gone ahead and done it. Death Company aren't that expensive. They're only like $22, and like I said, you get a lot of custom weapons, and you get the custom shoulders, and you get the custom heads. So worst case, and I build all my guys with custom stuff, really. Yeah, let me look. Let me see. Like, look, here's a Vanguard veteran that I have, and he's got a Death Company jump pack on there, right? So like I guess you get the Death Company jump packs as well. So if the Primaris Assault Marines come out, whatever they're going to be called, Assault Interceptors with jump packs, maybe I could make some with Death Company jump packs. I think this is a painted Death Company jump pack, maybe, on a Vanguard veteran. I think that's a Death Company shoulder pad, isn't it? Maybe that's a Sangard shoulder pad, I'm not sure. So I tend to make them with custom stuff. So having another box of Death Company gives me more custom bits. I always use the custom bits. I think the hardback book might still be available, because they had it on limited edition, but they also had it on hardback earlier today. So if you check just now, you might be able to get it on hardback. And let's be honest, the hardback books are not bad. I've got the Astrath one. I got, you know, the one that I just said is back in stock if anyone hasn't got it. And like, is the special edition worth like 3 times the price of the hardback? I don't know. I'll tell you once I get my first special edition, which will be in 2 weeks' time, I guess. Has anyone got experience with neon colours? Asked S3N1X. I do not really. Both of those are Van Vets, by the way. They're just both full of. Oh, is the jump pack a Van Vet jump pack? Maybe. Possibly, yeah. I mean, but like I mix my kits. Like this is actually a custom Storm Shield from a third party vendor, because I refuse to pay like £3 for each Storm Shield on eBay, so I bought them from a 3D printer. Once Primaris get jump packs and more options, they will be king. Yeah, who knows when? Who knows when? I do fancy getting time to select a 10-man Vanguard veteran loadout. I think if I don't know, Vanguard veterans are a weird one for me because I feel like they're very expensive points-wise, right? Is there strength in like a 10-man Vanguard veteran with Storm Shields and Lightning Claws? I mean, maybe for sure, right? I mean, they were good. Everybody dropped them when Armor of Contempt came out, but people didn't drop them because they were bad, they just dropped them because there was other cheaper options. But into some matchups, like matchups where everything has tons of AP, then I don't think you can argue that Vanguard veterans with Storm Shields are a bad choice in general, I guess. And Lightning Claws are really good for Blood Angels as well, because +1 to wound just makes them really reliable. You know, with usually you're going to wound on 4s and then you're going to get to reroll everything, which generally makes wounding really reliable. So I have a bunch of Vanguard veterans fully painted up in that sort of gold pseudo Sangard style. I've got 4 more, I think, or 3 more here with Lightning Claws. Some of them I magnetized, some of them I didn't. I don't mind. Like, I do magnets for a lot of stuff, but I also like having a big collection, so if I end up painting 1 or 2 extra guys because I've modelled them with one specific weapon option and it's not super competitive, I don't mind. I like building out my collection of Marines. I'm probably going to build this Blood Angels army into like 25,000 points at some point, like... If I had extra money, I'd bet it all on Jump Primaris will have a dumb name. Okay, Marcus. I'm gonna watch... Well, get bets on a dumb name then. What would be a dumb name for... Primaris? I noticed a few people... You know the Joy Toy models? Not the Joy Toy models, the actual... Oh, what the fuck are they called? The McFarlane ones? I saw a few people have been getting those McFarlane ones at Christmas time, like super cheap, and there's like a Reaver who's like grey that you could paint yourself. I am not gonna lie, just looking at that, I thought that would be a super cool project to have. I quite fancy, well, I've got one of the McFarlane models. I quite fancy repainting it into my style of Blood Angel, but don't really have an ETA on my plan for doing that, I guess. Mike says Neon is easy. Suppressor jump packs, are they going to be the backpacks for Primaris? I have no idea what Primaris jump packs are going to look like. I think that's why, you know, like we've seen a few people like make like true scale conversions of, well, true scale conversions of any of the, like, you know, we've got true scale conversions of Sangard or Death Company with jump packs. I think that's why I've held off doing it, because I have the feeling, and I mean, it's just a feeling that their jump packs are going to be different. Because Intercessors and Reavers and I guess Suppressors all have different sort of jump packs, or yeah, I guess they're called jump packs, right? So because they all have different, I get the feeling that when we do get Primaris ones, they're going to be slightly different, so that's kind of why I've held off doing any pure true scale conversion work, I guess. Maybe it'll be exactly the same and there'll be nothing to worry about, but I do feel like Games Workshop will do something new. You know, as well though, like let's say we do get like a Primaris captain that can take a jump pack, for example. Everyone's going to want a Blood Angels Primaris captain with a jump pack, right? But you're going to want, I think you're going to want a box, or you're going to want some Death Company shoulder pads, or you're going to want some Sanguinary Guard helmets or something. You're going to want something to give him some real Blood Angels flavor. So I guess if this is the last ever box of Firstborn Marines that I buy, because at some point we're getting better tactical Primaris versions, then so be it. But the heads, the shoulder pads, I'll put them all to good use, right? Nathan asks, does anyone else feel they paint all the time and only finish one or two models? Nathan, you know how many models I have that are in a half painted state, right? That's the problem. Like, if you're a competitive player like I am, and you go with the competitive trend, watch this, Nathan. Here's one tray of unfinished models, right? This was like my Star Wars Legion. Look at all these guys. Like, here's Vader. Here's like guys that was doing like tactical, I don't know, camouflage armor on or something. Here's the Hoth troopers. Here's stormtroopers. Here's a friggin' walker. Here's a flyer. Like, none of this is finished, right? Oh look, here's Boba Fett. He's not finished, you know, like, here's Han Solo. He's not finished. Here's Luke and Leia, they're not finished, right? That's one tray. Look, here's a tray of Blood Angel stuff that's not finished. There's a Dreadnought. Here's Eradicators. Here's Land Speeders. Here's Eliminators. Here's Intercessors. Who's this guy? Oh, he's a Van Vet. So there's about 5 squads. Oh, there's Corbolo, is it? No, it's just a Primar. It's just an Apothecary. Oh, look, some Blade Guard veterans, some Terminators. Not finished, not finished, not finished. Alright, we're talking about Death Company. Look, here's Death Company Dreadnought. Here's those are Reavers. Those are Suppressors. Here's a Primaris Apothecary. Here's a Terminator. Here's a Primaris captain on a bike, waiting for him to finally get some rules with a Thunderhammer. Yeah, he's been sat there for like 2 years. He's just waiting on rules. Here's more Eliminators. Here's a Death Company with a Power Fist, another one with a Power Fist. Here's another Death Company, another Death Company, another Death Company, another Death Company. You guys know that I fielded like 20 Death Company models this week and they were all painted, right? So here's the unpainted Death Company. Here's another Death Company. Here's another Death Company. Here's a Lieutenant. Here's a Psyker. Here's just like a random jump pack that's been sprayed, I guess. No, not sprayed? Looks sprayed. I guess it's waiting for a character. I'm going to make some sort of character and put him on that jump pack. Here's a company champion. Here's another Psyker. Here's another company champion. You know, like, and these are just 2 trays, dude. I get so many trays. Like, so many. Oh yeah, this is why I was saying just like not worry about Death Company, because look, here's another tray. Oh look, here's Tycho the Lost. Here's a Dante Units blister pack. Why, I don't really know. There's some basic senders. Here's some Terminators. At the front of this tray, we've got more Death Company. Don't know why, like, honestly, don't know why we've got so many Death Company. Here's another one of the Sanguiner backpack. Here's a custom Sanguiner that I was making into Chapter Master with an Infernal Pistol, because obviously Sanguiner. So this was going to be like a custom Sanguiner. Here's some Rogue Trader Terminators. This is what I was telling you. Look at the state of these old Lightning Claws. Jeez. So there's like, how many Rogue Trader Terminators in there? There's 2 with Lightning Claws. There's 3 with Thunder Hammers. There's probably some more kicking around. Oh, here's a converted Terminator that I made from those Space Marine Hero guys. This was actually one of my first ever YouTube videos. That's Astroth's jump pack, is it? Oh well, I mean, I guess it was getting converted into a custom Sanguiner type Chapter Master. I think this was the Sanguiner model, and I cut off his hand and cut off his head, which was actually quite difficult to do because this is a metal model. So I really had to gouge his head off to get a different helmet on there. Yeah, this was from one of the Space Marine Heroes. That's depressing. Right, so that's 3 trays. There's at least like 6 more in the exact same state. So if you want to talk about always painting, not finishing stuff, Nathan. So yeah, so Highly Phoenix, I guess that's why I'm not magnetizing Death Company, because there's like fucking 13 more there that need painted, right? So like I've got all the weapon options. They're already there. They're just not painted. When I need them, I'll paint them. Yeah. Fun, huh? Stop buying plastic ammo. That's why I've been commissioning Mike to paint some stuff for me. Because, like, I feel bad about adding things to my pile. And newsflash, I actually have a lot of stuff that's brand new on sprue as well. Like, I've got, I don't know, 200-300 pounds of stuff that's like brand new on sprue, like it's not even made. My wife did say to me, like when we had kids, she's like, John, you're not going to be able to afford to buy any more Warhammer. How are you going to live? And I was like, it's not going to be a problem, honey. It means that I might actually finish what I fucking got. And I don't think she realised that I was actually serious. I was like, I probably could paint for like 5 years at this point. And I don't know if I would finish what I actually have. But yeah, no, I was serious when I said, like, I might actually finish if I can't buy anything. But I mean, I do still find enough money to buy the odd box here and there. But I don't really, I think that's why I didn't buy that Age of Darkness set, because a lot of people were like, the Age of Darkness set's amazing value, you should pick it up. And I was like, yeah, you know, if I didn't have a backlog of stuff that I want to get done, then maybe I would have picked up Age of Darkness. But it doesn't matter to me, because at least Age of Darkness isn't like a fear of missing out box set, right? It's like, it's a box set that's going to be around for a while, pick it up whenever you want. Probably be like Age of Darkness 2.0 by the time I'm ready to get it. Could eBay some of them? Yeah, I mean, I could eBay some of them, but I mean, I just want to finish them. I'm just going to make a giant Blood Angels army. I mean, I only do one chapter, why not go hard on it, right? But yeah, I've got some, like, I didn't show you all the stuff that's unpainted, but I mean, there's a lot more. And those two trays are actually kind of the more, I'd say they're the more complete stuff. Most of the other stuff in the other trays is just like being sprayed or being made and nothing more than that. So I kind of try to organize it so like be like, this is the stuff that I could make progress on next, or rather maybe I should make progress on next because it's the most complete, right? The Age of... yeah, I mean, if I bought Age of Darkness, it wouldn't even be opened, honestly. I still have models from Indomitus, which I think was 2 summers ago, that are just, like... they're just on the sprue. I think, like, the Indomitus captain, the one with that sort of shield with a skeleton in it, like, he's just, like, I don't need a captain that doesn't have a jump pack. So he's, like, way... or on a bike, I guess, so he's, like, way down the pecking order. So there's models in that kit or that set that are just like, so yeah, that's the woes of being a competitive player, is like you paint what's competitive, and like if something drops off being competitive, then it just gets shoved in a drawer for me, and then it'll get, when it becomes competitive 1 year, 2 years later, then at least it's half painted and I get to start from a half painted state than starting from a scratch state, I guess. So I never feel like my time's wasted, but I do jump around. You know, like, I jump to what I think is going to be competitive, or jump to, like, what's going to be in my army list, and that's kind of where I focus my painting, I guess. Sometimes I just get into a squad and I'm almost like, I really want to finish this squad because I've had them too long, and like, I feel like I've had them so long that it's a crime that they haven't been painted. So sometimes I do that. I would open it to get the Dread. I actually have quite a lot of Dreads painted. Dreadnoughts are like one of the things I probably have painted the most. I've painted like a Leviathan, I've painted 3 Redemptors, I've painted a Librarian Dreadnought, I've painted 2 Contemptors, and on a bunch of them, I think all the Redemptors, I magnetized the plasma arms so that I have options for like what I want to do in terms of their arms. I magnetized the Contemptor's arms as well, actually, and the Leviathan. So all the Dreadnoughts have all the weapon options magnetized. So Dreadnoughts are something that I have painted quite a lot of. I mean, I've painted quite a lot of infantry as well, for all intensive means. I just have a lot of unpainted infantry as well. But I mean, Blood Angels were a pretty infantry-centric list at the moment, right? I mean, you can run all Dreadnoughts as Blood Angels, but we don't... apart from a few people doing it for fun, it's not something that really gets going all that much, right? Do you blind your reds? No. I just... Frank says his backlog could be measured in years as well. Nice. Glad to know that I'm not the only one, Frank. I just do multiple coats, really, with my reds. For this anyway, I'm just gonna probably do like 2 or 3 coats of Evil Sun over this sprayed gold, or you know, I sprayed it gold first. Now I'm just gonna do 2 or 3 coats of Evil Sun. I'm interested to see how this two thin coats paint works compared to the Games Workshop one, and to see how close the colour match is. They should probably have it like by next Saturday night, I imagine. Like, I mean, there's postal strikes in the UK at the moment, but assuming that the post doesn't get overly delayed, then I'll tell you what would be a waste of time painting Reavers. I actually painted 5 Reavers as Death Company. I spent ages edge highlighting them, thinking in my naivety that they were going to be the big I thought they were going to be the big melee unit for like Primaris armies. I was like, oh, it's going to be Reavers. They look really cool. They've got that sort of terror mask. They're definitely going to be useful. I think is what I thought. Iris pasted 9 custodes in. What were you playing? 7N? 7NF? What army? I'm just throwing a little bit red on these guys to kill some time while that grey dries on the incursors, and then I'm going to jump back and start doing some washes on their armour. I think it's probably dry now, so I'll probably jump between just putting some red on these Van Vets tonight and doing the washes. We'll see how long it takes the washes to dry actually, because it's quite warm in here. I have a big giant light on, and the light does actually make the room quite warm, so the paint does dry pretty quick in here. Like that, you know, I painted that like a minute ago and it's pretty much dry already. The plastic tempters do support magnets easily, but it's different connection setup compared to the resin ones. Is it? I mean, my resin contemptors, I think I just put magnets at the bottom of the underneath the arms, sort of, I guess, between the the shoulder and the, I actually don't know what this muscle is called, the bicep. Reavers will be good eventually, says Jim. Yeah, I hope so. I hope you have a good date night, JT Money. Good luck. Alright, I need Nuln Oil. Nuln Oil. Oh, this tub of Nuln Oil does not have much left. I would like to see them do more with the Death Company for sure. If you think of like how all the other codexes work now, with like lots of different like, I was gonna say like, it's a bit weird because like chapters are supposed to be like, you know, like if you're Tyranids, you're doing high fleets or something. Chapters are supposed to be like the marine variant of it, but like I would like to see a little bit more flexibility within the chapters themselves, I guess. In some ways that's why Black Templars did so well when they sort of exploded onto the meta, because they are a chapter with a bit of flexibility. You know, you get to pick that vow before the battle starts, and you can pick the vow sort of dependent on what opponent you're facing into. So it's like, well, I'm facing an opponent that does shitloads of mortal wounds, well, I'll pick a vow that just gives me protection against mortal wounds for my entire army or something. So Black Templars were pretty cool when they came on the scene, and I guess I would like... I think if the Blood Angels Codex was done now, I would hope that they would do more, you know, in terms of like giving the Death Company a few extra rules, or giving the chapter a little bit more. I guess we can only just wait and see what happens next edition. But it does feel like the newer codexes have like quite a lot more options than the codexes that were released like 2 years ago and stuff. Do you know, I think our Blood Angels Codex came out like the first week in December 2020, so like our codex will literally be 2 years old like next week or something. I'm starting with something very simple here, which is just, I'm going to put Null Oil into all these armor joints, just to try and give them a bit more depth. Try to not let it pool anywhere, so it just sits in the recesses. I'm sure I'll make a few mistakes, but mistakes can be fixed. It feels longer than 2 years, does it? It does feel like we've had those rules for a very long time. But maybe it's just because like we were one of the first, I guess. It's kind of weird though, like how Necrons have like this edition. It feels like Necrons have been up and down so many times. Because Necrons came out at the same time as us, and they've definitely had periods where it's like, oh god, Necrons are terrible, but there's also been periods of like, oh god, Necrons are really good. I'm not sure we've really had that though, right? It's kind of just been like, we were strongish for like a few months after our codex came out, and then we've kind of been average, I feel like, since. I mean, I don't think we've been as poor as some of the other Marine chapters, but like I definitely don't think we've been like ever... I think maybe like there was a month or two where like some people were saying Blood Angels were like an A tier army, but I don't think it lasted very long. Our rules barely changed from 8th. That's why it felt so long. Yeah, that's very true actually. Like in 9th we kind of just got some of our best stratagems taken away, and then everything else just stayed the same. I mean, the only thing that really changed I think from 8th is our normal troops got given an extra wound, but like our Sangre Guard, who were like our elites, who had 2 wounds anyway, just stayed on 2. I really thought that when they released Sangre, when the update, I really thought they were going to give Sangard 3 wounds, you know that? Maybe Primaris Sangre Guard, when they ever eventually come out. Maybe they'll have 3 wounds. Oh, what was the Brazil-Mexico score, by the way? Anyone keeping up on the football? Or the World Cup? I haven't seen any of the games today because I usually spend time with the kids at the weekend, but yeah, I know Brazil-Mexico is a big game because they kind of both need to win, right? Oh no, it's Argentina-Mexico, sorry. Argentina-Mexico, that was it. What was the score? Anyone know the score? Good evening, Reziel, how you doing? 2-0 Argentina, okay. Yeah, I mean, they should have won that first game for sure against Saudi Arabia. Alright, cool. Feels nice to be getting a bit of washing done on these models. I've had them for way too long. Yo, Carl, what's happening? When I look at the Blood Angels range and codex and look at the Black Templars range and codex, the only two words in the English language can describe it. Yeah, when I first read the Black Angels, sorry, the Black Templars codex compared to the Blood Angels, I was like, wow, this is a nice codex. I still think it's a really nice book. I don't particularly love playing Black Templars. I guess maybe the style of them doesn't fit how I like to play 40k, but like I do generally feel like they have a really nice book. I'm not so sure I've like I don't know their secondaries all that well. You know, like since Chapter Approved came out and like everybody got their own faction specific secondaries, like I don't know if their secondaries are that competitive, but I do know that like the stratagems and the rules in their book and they got some cool things. I've mentioned it before, like how their Chapter Master has he's basically the same weapon as Dante, but it's a 3 damage weapon and he can choose to sort of like, you know, do what pretty much everything in 40k can do now, which is like for big characters he can like strike or sweep, and when he sweeps he makes like double number of attacks, and I want to say he has like 7 attacks, so I think when he sweeps he can make like 14 attacks or something. Yes, they are only 1 damage, but I mean great for clearing out chaff models, right? Absolutely brilliant for that. The thing about Templars is that you need to have the characters to remain competitive. That's what I have heard. And I mean, some of the characters are really nice. Some of their litanies are also really, really nice. They've got like that litany where like every time they attack, it's like you can almost guarantee 6 mortal wounds on the combat, which is like, I guess it's like what we've seen some of the other armies do. You know, Tyranids had that strat on, I think it was called Reaper of Obliterax, one of the ones they nerfed, where it was like just every single turn this model is going to attack, it's going to do 6 mortal wounds. I was like, wow. I mean, had that against the Votan this week, right? Every single time the Land Raider shoots, it just basically does 4 mortal wounds on top of its damage, and its damage is kind of nuts. Marines need some of that in the new book, right? Marines need a way where it's just like every time a Predator fires at a target that's already been hit by some other sort of like hunter-killer missile or something, it just does additional 6 mortal wounds, or the mortal wound problem or spam or however you want to call it, I think it's a problem that developed in 9th and it's kind of got out of control. Yes, they've capped it in some places, but I also think like, I don't know if I ever feel like anything should do 6 mortal wounds in a single, like, you know, like a single psychic power that can do 6 mortal wounds. Well, I mean, that's fine, but surely every psyker needs access to that. Like, why do Blood Angels psychic powers do like 1 mortal wound or a couple, and then other factions just get like, well, we can do 6 mortal wounds with our psychic powers? Like, balance it or don't balance it, but don't. I feel like that's probably one of my biggest bugbears with the current rules, how like some factions just, for whatever reason, get stuff like that. And I mean, that's probably one of the reasons I run a Psyker a lot, because sometimes if they, like, when I was playing Chaos Demons at that GT like 2 weekends ago, there's one power that he had where it was just like, right, this is going to do like 9 mortal wounds, and I was like, oh god, please Mephiston, deny this, because if you don't deny it, I've probably lost the game, because at that point in the game I was already like strung out, and if I had to take 9 mortal wounds it would have been pretty much game over. Fortunately for me I denied it, but still, you know, Space Marines have no potential, like we have no power where we can go like, right, we could do this. It's a bit of a Hail Mary, sure, but like, hey, we can do 9 mortal wounds in a psychic phase. Crazy, man. Templars and Blood Angels are going to get a whole lot stronger when we get jetpack troops, says Robert. It's certainly going to help, isn't it? Because I guess Primaris are in some ways kind of the future, as much as some people maybe don't want to admit that. Primaris is where they're going to push the envelope. That is going to be the future for us. Devout strat push is a great... Yeah, I mean, I'd love Blood Angels to have another move. Like, we need, you know, having a strat that gives you some more movement somehow. You know, we used to have a 3d6 charge, maybe giving the Death Company an advance and charge strat, something like that. What if Hunter-Killer missiles ignored invuns? I mean, they should, because at the moment you pay like 10 points for a single shot crack missile. It's really not that good, is it? Hunter-Killers still do d6 damage, right? They don't do flat damage, they do d6, is that right? I don't know, I never run Hunter-Killer missiles. I think they're overcosted for what... I'm probably never spending 10 points on a one-shot gun, regardless of how good it is. But I mean, it's just a different... different people prioritize stuff differently. I don't prioritize a one-shot weapon, like, ever, I guess. At the start of the game, when my opponent is going through the list, I'm half listening, thinking my army can't do half of that crap. Yeah, I mean, that's just the way that... That's what happens when you get one of your codex at the beginning of the edition, I guess. We've just kind of had to suck it up a bit for a little while. I don't know what the future holds. Like, is the future going to hold a new edition? Is it going to hold a new Space Marines 2.0, which loads of people have talked about? Who knows? I have no idea what the future holds. The only thing I know is that I'll be here doing Blood Angel stuff. So if you guys want to be here with me, that would be awesome. An advance and charge strat would be nice. Yeah, it would be amazing, wouldn't it? Las Cannon should get the beam effect that the Votan get. I mean, I would just settle for like the same as what Chaos get, where Las Cannons are d6 plus 2, Robert. That would be really helpful. Bricker Bro says thoughts on Smokescreen. I mean, Smokescreen wins games sometimes. It's 1 CP, -1 to hit. Sometimes -1 to hit will win you the game. What else is there to say? Like, I mean, it's not a great strat, but I mean, it's no different really from like Transhuman. -1 to hit, you know, is no different from like, hey, you can now only wound me on 4s when you could wound me on 3s before. You know, it's just a sort of standard defensive strat. I don't know if there's much else to say on Smokescreen. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's something. Leviathans plus smokescreen. Yeah, I mean Leviathans are one of the few dreadnoughts that actually get access to smokescreen, don't they? Forget that because I don't run Leviathans all that often, but yeah, on something like a Leviathan it's pretty cool, especially because it just means that it's probably going to survive another round, right? If you run like a super heavy tank, because I used to run the Falchion, it has smokescreen, so I feel like 100% if someone's trying to light up your Falchion, you just instantly smokescreen it. Because like sometimes if those super heavy tanks survive just one more round, them alone can win you games, right? Arcs of Omen should be interesting, with the restriction rumours, no jetpacks, bikes or tanks. I assume that's not for competitive play though, right? When you play your single Reaper, pay for the auto launcher. I kind of feel like the Reaper is probably one of these things that would work better if you had two of them. But then, like, do I want to give up that many points on tanks when we know tanks are in a shitty state island? Probably not. Would you guys trade +1 to wound for reroll all charges? Probably not, because we've got other ways where we can... You know, like our mobility is pretty good. If you're struggling with charges, then I'd say why don't you start running Wrath of Baal / Icon of the Angel. I might be tempted to trade +1 to wound for exploding sixes, like with the Whirlwind of Rage, because the problem with +1 to wound is, like, I just think that +1 to wound, like, our chapter tactic needs like a caveat built into the rules that's like that it can't be denied by stuff like transhuman abilities. Like, let transhuman make other armies only ever wound you on 4s, but let Blood Angels +1 to wound like overwrite that. Because I don't think it's really fair that you can get armies that completely counter like our main trait. It's not like, you know, like for example, like let's say our main trait was like the Space Wolf one with exploding sixes to hit in combat. It's not like any other army can counter that, right? You can't turn off Space Wolf's exploding sixes, but you can turn off Red Thirst if you're like a transhuman based army like Deathwing, or to a lesser extent now Leviathan, but so I think that like our +1 to hit from Red Thirst, sorry, +1 to wound from Red Thirst should be like well, maybe it shouldn't be like immune to transhuman, but like it should mean that like if the enemy are transhuman and you can only wound on 4s, then the +1 should like come in at the end of the rule interaction. So it's like, yeah, you can only wound on 4s, but Blood Angels +1 always applies, which means you could wound on 3s, even if maybe normally you would wound on 2s or something. You know, like I think that the +1 should still stick around at the end if you're transhuman or something like that. I think that would make Blood Angels feel like a ton more viable, and also wouldn't ever give you that sort of bad feeling where it's like, oh, in this matchup my +1 to wound does nothing for me and it feels really shit. And then you open up those people asking the questions like you just asked, like, hey, is +1 to wound actually good? Because in this one matchup it didn't do anything for me at all. And I think like I don't think there's many other factions in 40k where like one of their main rules can be switched off by other parties. Like, we might be the only one. Could I be wrong? Am I wrong? Evening Sangre Angel, not sure we've been blessed by your presence before. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoy the stream. If you guys are enjoying tonight's stream at some point before you leave, please do consider hitting that like button. It only takes you like 1 second. It means the YouTube algorithm is a little bit kinder to me, and I do really appreciate it. So if you've got 1 second, which I'm sure you do if you're here, please hit the like button before you bail out tonight. I'm gonna be streaming for probably like another hour, maybe. I'm gonna get all the armor sets or I'm not gonna get all the joins and the armor of these guys washed tonight. Is the $1 million question. Hopefully, because then that means next time I can get on to like actually washing their armor and not just the armor joints. Maybe washing like bolters and stuff like that. Maybe some of the metals too. I was gonna say I'm not making too many mistakes on this wash stage tonight. There's been some, but overall I feel like it's going pretty well. It's pretty clean, which is nice. Sometimes I make a lot of mistakes, but then I mean I did say just a few weeks ago that I have new glasses now and I'm seeing a lot better. So being able to see sure helps when you're painting, right? What about Mephiston's Exploding Sixes? Yeah, I mean Mephiston's, well, when you say Mephiston's, you mean Unleash Rage. Unleash Rage Exploding Sixes does stack with, if you take Whirlwind of Rage, then I mean you would stack. So if you, for every 6 you roll, you get 2 additional hits. I mean that is a rule that stacks. There's nothing that says that wouldn't stack, right? We just don't see too many people take it that often. And like mathematically, +1 to wound is really good. Like, it is actually a really good mechanic, the +1 to wound. The problem is just there's that odd army that just counter your chapter ability, and like I said, not many other armies in 40k can get their mainstay countered, I guess. Like I don't know any, in fact. Greetings from the US, says Crispy Delicious. Well, greetings back at you. Congrats on your victory against England in the football the other day. I don't know if you care. Well, I mean soccer, I guess in America you call it soccer, don't you? I'm gonna just be delicate for a couple little bits in here. Space Wolves get +1 to hit. I had a 1k game against Deathwing the other day, and their transhuman was just horrible. Yeah, I mean that's a good example of like I've faced Archangels and Deathwing, and they become one of our hardest matchups because like our primary way of killing things gets disabled, right? And I get that not every matchup should be easy, I do get that, but I do also think that like there shouldn't be the rule interaction there should just be changed so that like we still get +1, it just has to apply at the very end after the transhuman. So like let's say you're hitting them with strength 8, so normally in their toughness 4, so normally you'd wound on 2s. Well, let them do their transhuman so you would wound them on 4s, but then add our +1 at the very end so we'd actually wound them again on 3s. I think that would be the best way they could deal with it, and I mean that would make me feel a lot happier, but who knows if that's something we'll get, or if it's just me spitball. Well, I mean it is just me spitballing, but I do think I wish it's something that they would consider, because This is where a 10-man Vanguard veteran with lightning claws is sometimes useful. Yeah, I mean, then that's very true. Lightning claws into transhuman is brilliant, isn't it? Maybe it's something that a lot of Blood Angels players forgot about, how useful it was. Highland, because everybody got so like laser focused on Armor of Contempt. I mean, that's why I've put some Vanguard veterans back. I was gonna say, am I gonna paint these Vanguard veterans after these ones with lightning claws, after these cursors? I don't know, but I mean, I am wanting to finish some more Vanguard veterans with lightning claws. I was doing a squad anyway, so and I did finish 5. So I just wanted to finish out the other ones that I had here. I had some with chainswords again, just to keep them cheap. And I had some magnetized as well, but I didn't magnetize all of them. And these incursors are starting to look pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with how they're looking. Sanguine Angel says, I'm a newer subscriber, so I don't know if there's a dumb question. There's no dumb questions in here, dude, and please ask any question that you want, because if I can't help you, someone in chat will help you. Let me get to the rest of your question. How would a 10-man assault intercessor squad with Unleash Rage and the fight against Strat fare? Would it be an infantry grinder? It would 100% be an infantry grinder, Sanguinary Angel. The problem with it was, how do you deliver it to the enemy? Because a 10-man squad is going to be very difficult to move from cover to cover, because they only move 6 inches, right? So if you, and that's why a lot of people go with more like jump pack units and smaller squads, because they're much easier to jump from cover to cover, and our units aren't that survivable. Like if you watch me for a while, you'll see that in like a lot of my games now, let's assume I go second, let's assume the other player goes first. Most of my games, if the other player goes first, I give up very, very little, and what that means is everything that I have deployed on the board is hidden. Like, I played Votan, which are one of the most strongest shooting armies in the meta, I would say, at the moment. And in turn, he went first, just this week on the channel, and he went first. He killed 2 Death Company Marines. So, like, he was only able to shoot, like, 1 or 2 of my squads, and, you know, if you give up first turn and you only lose 41 points of models, that's kind of huge, right? That means that you deployed really well and you set yourself up in a really good position for, you know, expecting that you might not go first, I guess. So the problem with a 10-man squad of assault intercessors is, like, I don't know how you're getting them across the board without taking a lot of losses, because if everything else in your army can jump from cover to cover, like small little 5-man squads jumping in and out of cover and never being seen, then something is going to be seen, and the thing that's going to be seen is your 10-man squad of assault intercessors. I mean, if you give them Chapter Master rerolls and you give them, like, Unleash Rage, and then you remember that they can fight twice, yeah, they're going to blind. I mean, you're talking, like, if they're an Assault Doctrine, you're talking, like, 104 chainsword attacks if they... No, yeah. It's 51 attacks you get from the 5... No, it's 26 attacks you get. Yeah, so it would be 104 chainsword attacks, and assuming you fight them twice and you've got all 10, and then if you explode 6s and you re-roll all hits, I mean, you're talking like you would have like 120 wound rolls to wound. So anything less than toughness 8, you're asking them to make like 50 saves. So they're gonna fit. You know, if you ask anyone to make 50 saves, even if they're saving on 2s, they're gonna make fails, right? So yeah, they would blend a lot of things. They might even blend through armor. The problem is, how do you get 10 assault intercessors across the board? The only option we really have for a 10-man squad is a repulsor, and no one's running repulsors because they're not that survivable and they're not that competitive. So then your only option is maybe to put them into strategic reserve. And putting them into strategic reserve is going to cost you CP, which is, at that point, would you not maybe just be better putting in like a jump pack unit that's going to cost no CP to go into reserve, because they've obviously got jump packs and they can use the special death from above rules, which means like they start in reserve for free. So yeah, I mean, like, statistically, mathematically, 10-man assault intercessor squad fighting twice could be pretty scary. How you actually make it a reality, I think, is the million-dollar question. I mean, if you can answer that question, then by all means run it, right? But like, I think if people knew how to answer that question, you would see them on the battlefield more often. And maybe, you know, we're all talking here, we talk about it every few weeks, we're all waiting for like Primaris jump packs. If assault intercessors can take jump packs, and you can get Primaris assault intercessors with 12-inch move, and they can get the bonus from the 2 inches of Wrath of Baal, and then maybe all of a sudden the 10-man assault intercessor squad becomes really interesting. Because it's, you know, it's 51 chainsword attacks, but at a pinch you can just be like, well, I can just do all the chainsword attacks. Yeah. Hope that answers your question. I have been running, like, if you watch my battle reports for the last 6 months, I ran a lot of 5-man assault intercessor squads because they're the troop choice, and you obviously need troops if you're going to build a battalion. And I often put them into strategic reserve with the idea of bringing the 5 of them in from reserve and trying to like charge the opponent's backfield objective and obsec it away from them with like the small 5-man squad. Obviously with a 5-man squad it still costs the same 2 CP to fight again. I really think that stratagem should be changed so it's like less 5 models 1 CP, more than 5 models 2 CP, but I mean, I guess that's beside the point. Are assault intercessors decent? Yes. How do you make them work, I guess, is the big question. We'll check. I'm having a good week. I am having a good weekend, Will. Thanks for asking. I hope you are too. The weekends seem to fly by at the moment. I don't know if it's just the run up to Christmas or whatever. But the town where I live was super busy today. I guess everybody's out because it's only a month to Christmas, and it's sort of starting to get into that spirit here a little bit. So if you drive anywhere, the roads are so busy. If you go into any store, the stores are so busy. It's like, where are all these people for the rest of the year? Because they obviously all live here, but at Christmas they just come out like it's no tomorrow. Primaris need better transports. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can all agree that they need better transports. I've got an Impulsor, but like, Impulsors just, they're a bit of a confused vehicle, I think. Like, they're an open top vehicle, but they don't have the open top rules. So yeah, their Impulsors are just a little bit confused. The new Space Marine tanks don't know what they want to be, says Robert. I think the new Space Marine tanks just need an update similar to, you know, every other faction now has basically D3+3 las cannons. Even the Imperial Guard, I think, got some sort of new las cannon, right? I think it's called a heavy las cannon or something. What's this? Yes, anyone in here play Guard? Anyone? Because the Guard box came out like on Friday, right? Or was it just yesterday, where there's like the new Imperial Guard box with all their new rules. They've got like a, I think it's called a heavy las cannon platform or something. And it's basically, I think it's a D3+3 las cannon, is it? Or what is the heavy las cannon? I did read about it a few weeks ago in Warhammer community, because Andrew was like, oh look John, even Imperial Guard have better las cannons than Space Marines. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's almost a running joke how bad Space Marines weapons are at the moment, right? What is the profile on the heavy las cannon? Why would you not take it? Sorry, explain it to me. I thought it was just like when Andrew told me about it, I was just like, I just thought to myself like, oh right, here's another kick the Space Marine player when they're down. We'll give Gar D3+3 las cannons. Strength 10, AP -4, D6 +3, says Danny, thank. Yeah, so, okay. I mean, D6 +3 is nice, right? Why would people not take that? Is it too many points, is it? I mean, as a Marine player, I'd love for any sort of... We don't have really any ranged weapon. Yeah, we have no ranged weapon that's D3 plus D... Oh, sorry. D6 +3, like, even our laser destroyers in that maximum can do 6. Even a volcano cannon on the falchion only does 6, right? Thanks, Danny. How are you, Danny? The fuel battery is 130 points for 2 models, so 65 each. I mean, I guess that seems a little bit expensive. I mean, I guess if you compare it to Eldar D cannons, though, it's not super bad, is it? Cyclone Meltalance does D6 +2 within half range. I mean, it's not D6 +3 though, right? Kind of forget the Meltalance on the Leviathan Dreadnought, actually. Usually when I run Leviathans, I'm looking at the grab cannon because, you know, more shots and more range, I guess. I mean, I guess you can... yeah, the Metal Lance on Leviathan's fine. The Leviathan should be getting into half range pretty often, shouldn't it? Eradicator's Heavy Melta does D6 +4 at half range. Oh, sure. Good point. I always kind of forget about those heavy melt rifle Eradicators. I guess the reason I forget about them is because in reality I think the heavy melter rifles are really difficult to play. Because they can only move 5 inches. So, I mean, the chances of you getting them within 12 of the enemy, I mean, you have to hope the enemy moves towards you, right? Because if you're moving towards them at 5 inches at a time, and they know you're D6 +4 on 12 inches, any good player will just be like, right, well, I'll just move back a few inches here because you only move 5, and 5 is comparatively pretty slow now, I would argue, right? Like, most things move more than 5 inches. But the only thing that... yeah, I would say most things. I mean, I guess there's a few things. Squats move 5 inches. Terminators move 5 inches. The Gravflux is the best gun on Leviathan, says Damini. Well, I mean, that's why I usually run the Gravflux. I feel like it's the most versatile, and I think the Gravflux fixes the one thing that I don't like about the plasma on the Redemptor, which is like the randomness of the number of shots, right? So because the Gravflux is like 2d3 as opposed to 1d6, just it feels like it's going to average much higher. And I mean, I guess you can never roll a 1, which is nice as well. Rolling a 1 with a Redemptor in a tournament is literally the worst feeling in the world. And you always roll a 1 when you're desperate for a decent number of shots on the Redemptor. That's when you always roll a 1. When you don't need, it's the same as a Whirlwind. Like sometimes, like the amount of times when I'm like, oh, with this Whirlwind I really need like 12 shots, I'll never roll more than like a 4 or something. But then see, when I don't care and I'm just like, right, I just need to hit this thing once and suppress it, I'll go and like roll double 6 for a number of hits. And I feel like I roll than double 6 on that Whirlwind way more than his average is. Like, I feel like every time I go to a couple of tournaments or something, I always end up with like a few rounds of shooting from the Whirlwind where I'm going like, oh wow, I just rolled a fucking 10 or 11 again on the Whirlwind. Like, I seem to be good at rolling on Whirlwind and crappy at rolling on Plasmas. What am I thinking of replacing the Knights with? Death Company. Don't know if you saw my army list video this week. Not my army list. I don't know if you saw my video against the Votan. Will. But I beat Votan and I actually scored pretty bad on Relentless Assault. No, not Relentless Assault, sorry. Fury of the Lost. So I think with a bit more practice, it was the first time I ever picked Fury of the Lost. And I definitely feel like I made a few silly mistakes with it. So I think that with a little bit more practice with Fury of the Lost, I'll do better. So I'm replacing the Knights with Death Company, and I ordered another box of Death Company today actually, just so I've got even more options in terms of weapon options. I like the one squad with Thunderhammers. I like the squad with lots of Infernal Pistols and Power Swords. So probably I was surprised that 4 Thunderhammers with Chapter Master rerolls bounced off the Land Fortress thing for the squats so wonderfully. Like they just bounced off of it. It hardly did any damage. I think it's a bit silly that the Squat's Land Raider has a 4-up invulnerable save. If I guess it just shows if Land Raiders had a 4-up invulnerable save, they'd probably be viable. Will I pick up the Scorpius, or are you talking about the Whirlwind Scorpius? Mike's debating running 4 land speeders. I mean, land speeders are good. I did think that when I included the Gladiator in my list last week, right? In that, like, if you take a Gladiator tank, the Valiant, is it the Valiant? No. Yeah. The Valiant, is that the one I ran? Shit. What's the one I ran called? I think it's the Valiant. Let me check. Data sheets. Yeah, the Valiant. That's the one that's got the 2 multi-meltas and the twin Las Talons on it. It's 205 points if you take auto launchers on it, and when you're paying 200 points for a tank that doesn't have an invulnerable save, I feel like you probably just want to take auto launchers for the 5 points, because you know it could be the difference between it living and dying, right? It doesn't have the machine spirit rule, does it, the Valiant? No. but it does have a repulsor field, which means it can make it difficult to charge. And it also means it can fall back and shoot. So yeah, I think you want to take the auto launchers on it, but by the time you pay the 5 points for the auto launchers, you're 205 points. And obviously you could get 3 land speeders with multi-meltas for 210 points, so like 5 more points. 3 land speeders with multi-meltas is a little bit less firepower, right? It's like 2 less shots. But it would be much easier to get within half range because land speeders move further, like 16 inches versus 10. You also don't have to really deal with profiling on land speeders because, like, you know, they kill a land speeder. Yes, it can't shoot anymore, but you're not getting profiled. You also gain the ability to get like more board control and or synchronize into like relentless assault with a land speeder. Like for relentless assault, you could literally send a land speeder forward 16 inches and just touch their objective every turn and just score like maximum relentless assault points that way almost. So when I was including the gladiator, I'm sort of thinking to myself, like, is this a good choice, or should I just, like, I already got 2 land speeders. Should I be buying a 3rd land speeder and just going like 3 land speeders with multi-meltas as opposed to like this one tank with basically, if you assume the tank has 4 multi-meltas on it, because that's essentially what it has, you'd be trading that out for, so you'd be losing 1 multi-melta, but you'd be gaining a lot more mobility and a lot more potential to hold different parts of the board and stuff like that. And then I guess someone is right saying that the land speeder obviously combos with the whirlwind as well and gives you +1 to hit. Speeder spam makes Fury. How does it make Fury the Lost easier to score? I think speeder spam makes I think you mean relentless assault, right? Which chapter gets the best out of speeders? I think it would probably be Dark Angels. I actually don't know all the rules for Ravenwing, but they've got some sort of rule where if the speeder advances, it just gets an invulnerable save. And I think it's a pretty decent invulnerable save. It might be a 4-up. Evening, 40k warrior tuber, good evening. How about 1 twin Volkite and 1 close combat weapon? Is that a decent loadout? I think the best loadout for the Contemptor, probably the most versatile loadout actually, is 1 Volkite, the Chain Fist, and then the Cyclone Missile Launcher. I think that's your best, most versatile loadout, because then it can do everything, right? Like, it can shoot in combat reasonably decently, it can shoot at long range reasonably decently, it doesn't get profiled, and the Chain Fist is generally scary as well in close combat on the Contemptor. The Chain Fist is a much better option than the combat weapon. I'm not sure if the Age of Darkness box came with the Chain Fist, but I had a combat weapon and I went out specifically afterwards and bought the Chain Fist because yeah, it just does a lot more reliable damage. I think it just costs 5 points more, maybe. But I mean, you can make Contemptors work without that. You don't need to have quite that loadout, I think. I still do kind of like the double Volkite version, which some people run. I do think that you could run multi-melta and close combat weapon too. I think that's probably fine, but if you do run the multi-melta close combat weapon, and like the actual combat weapon and not the chain fist. I mean, I guess that gives you the advantage of not spending the CP, because it's just a regular contemptor and not a relic contemptor, and most of the bonuses for being a relic contemptor are gone now, right? Like, the relic contemptor used to get +1 on its ballistic skill and +1 on its armor save and like a 6 at feel no pain, but all that's gone. So you're not really getting... So a regular contemptor with multi-melta and combat weapon is actually fine as well, I think. But I personally prefer Volkite. Highland Phoenix says Volkite, Chain Fist, Plasma Blast, or Cyclone. Yeah, I mean, you could always do it without the Cyclone. Like, the Cyclone's sort of the optional part, right? And I guess at any point, if you get to the end of the list and you need to save some points, which often happens when you're building army lists, I guess I feel like the Cyclone's the most optional part. It's only 2 Strength 6 rockets... Strength 8 rockets at -2. So Cyclone isn't bad, but I mean, it isn't... Yeah, it's the most optional part. And like, because it's such low AP, sometimes it will do nothing, but then sometimes it can sneak through a 6 damage weapon, or 6 damage hit. And speaking of that 6 damage hit, I actually had that happen to me in a bloody tournament recently, where Dante took a 6 damage from a crack missile, and like I said, crack missiles are so swingy. They either do nothing or they do fucking 6 damage, and of course, when I take one in the face on a 6 wound character, it just kills them instantly. Dark Treant says, well, I play White Scars, so you all know, I play White Scars, so all I know is how to go decently fast. But heck, there are armies that go faster than White Scars. I mean, yes, Harlequins, maybe? I played Harlequins recently and had a really, really rough game against them. I couldn't quite believe how much damage, considering how survivable all their models are. I couldn't quite believe how much damage they did as well. White Scars have some nifty tricks though. Their codex at the moment isn't so bad, I think. I'm gonna have to touch up that yellow, trying to get in between some of these armor panels. You get a few little mistakes creeping in here and there. It always happens though when you're doing in between the armor panels. I go right by Emperor's Children, fight first, fight last at a tournament. Yeah, I mean, anything that can manipulate the fight phase, we don't have all that much that does that these days. I mean, that's why I find it really difficult to not play with a Whirlwind in a Blood Angels list. But you're right. I've heard that Creation of Bile are supposed to be hugely problematic, but I haven't played them myself yet. I don't know anyone that collects Creation of Bile. White Scars can use aggressors, so I'm kind of jealous. I mean, Blood Angels can use aggressors, we just don't really know how you would play them. A Gladiator Reaper would sour poopy all over the Harlequins. I mean, a Reaper would be reasonable against them for sure. I mean, you're only hitting on 4s. I guess you would be wounding reasonably decently, but if they're stuffed all in transports, then... I mean, I don't think a Reaper's particularly opening up... Like, maybe it can open up one transport if you shoot all of its guns at the same transport? But remember, Harlequins are crazy good at killing armor. Those bikes with the haywire mines, or is it mines? Or is it haywire missiles or something? Those missiles just wreck armor. They basically killed my Astreus in a single turn. Like, they weren't even close to it as well. They just come flying across the map and did like... I think he actually had units that he was planning on charging it, but he'd actually killed it just shooting in one turn. I was like, holy crap, Harlequins can do a lot of damage to armor and shooting phase. And a big portion of that was from those bikes with the haywire. I actually don't know what exactly the rules was, but when he told me it, it was like, fucking A, these things... I think they do 2 D3 mortals on top of their regular damage into armor or something. Like, it was like... It was scary, or... Well, it wasn't scary, it just killed me. Nothing scary about it. It was just like, oh, alright, my Astraeus is dead in one turn from full wounds. Like, that's going to be a problem for me to win this game now, right? Good evening, Campbell. 24 heavy strength 6 on the Reaper. Yeah, I mean, like, what's the profile on a Void Weaver? Or is it the Star Weaver? I think it's the Star Weaver that's the transport. One of them is the transport. Let me see. Harlequins. Because it would be under Aldari. Transports. Star Weaver. Toughness 5, 4 up save, -1 to hit. So your 24 strength 6 shots become 12 hits, which become 8 wounds, which become 4 saves. So like, the heavy cannon doesn't even put 4 wounds into a... It doesn't even put 4 wounds into a 95 point Star Weaver. That's pretty rough. How do you feel about Unari army with Fight First? I hate it, and I played against it on stream, Dave, and got absolutely destroyed. In that game, actually, he had 3 Fight Last abilities, I think it was, and my Sanguinary Guard didn't get to fight the entire game, and I got beat. Like, it was one of the worst defeats I've had on stream, and I was like, well, I guess Blood Angels don't do so well if you never get to fight with your Sangard, right? There isn't... Beyond taking the Whirlwind, there's not a whole heap of good options for us in terms of, like, countering Fight Last. You know, There's one of the problems I have playing against Sisters, I guess, as well. Right, like, it's not Fight Last, but it's like the Sisters have the Repentia who fight on death, so you kind of know you're always going to trade negatively into them. And like, it can be so problematic. Like, you almost need like cheap units, like Assault Intercessors or something that you can throw away and do damage. And this was why someone was saying to me, like, what about Assault Squads? Like, what if you use Assault Squads to mop up some of the Fight Last crap? They still do some damage, and then you try and trade with whatever you've got left. And I think that's probably one of the best uses of Assault Squads that I've heard of. But yeah, I mean, that's why I always run the Whirlwind. Like, literally always run the Whirlwind. I feel like I can't drop it. Because at least if you know you're trying to charge into something that is Fight Last, at least if you make them Fight Last and you are charging, then you will fight first, right? So, like, the Whirlwind, for the most part, will at least guarantee you'll get some of your ability to fight first. Shoot them far, don't engage, yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I always talk about, or that's one of the reasons that I pretty much always run my Blood Angels army with shooting in it. Like, I've ran the whole melee list to a tournament before, and I lost because I didn't have any shooting, and I was playing against an army that had Fight Last. So it's the same. Well, they actually had Fight Last and Fight on Death, which is like the two things that counter us. But yeah, that's why I always sort of advocate, like, if you are going to run Blood Angels, I get that I get that the said thing on Reddit is that, like, for Blood Angels you should have no shooting and everything should be melee, and I was like, well, I mean, that works till till you come up against an army that's never going to let you fight first, and you're going to lose because you're never going to get to fight. So that's why I've advocated for like years now that Blood Angels list should have some shooting in the list. Because if you don't have said some shooting, then you probably you just end up coming into a matchup where it's just like, oh right, I cannot win this matchup. Well, unless your opponent doesn't know their army, or you can pull a gotcha on them or something, right? But like a skilled opponent that knows your army, you'll struggle to win the matchup because they just have legitimately things that will counter everything that you want to do. Alright. Elverins. I'm going to buy some knights at some point, Highland Phoenix. I really enjoyed playing those knights. I enjoyed playing them more than I thought I would, actually. And it was a bit of a learning experience, but Blood Angels with knights seemed pretty fun. If nothing else, the amount of OBSEC that you have suddenly becomes kind of obscene, right? You've got like your 15 guys with OBSEC, plus you've got 3 counts as 5 knights with OBSEC, plus you've got Rights of War giving everything with its core, which is pretty much everything else, OBSEC. So like, running knights with Blood Angels is kind of fun for like, hey, you know, you basically have like 30 or 40 OBSEC models. So I think at some point in the future I will actually buy some knights. But like, you know, I showed you guys how much backlog of shit that I have. It's not going to be anytime soon. I'm actually going to spend 1 or 2 nights over the holidays, and I'm probably just going to stream this on this channel because I'll probably just be talking about Blood Angels stuff anyway, even if I'm not making Blood Angels models. I'm gonna spend 1 or 2 nights making and probably painting a little bit of Star Wars Legion, because I haven't played Star Wars Legion in like 2.5 years and I want to play a game. I had a whole army basically. The painting wasn't finished, but it was battle ready enough. So I bought some models a little while ago, maybe like 2 months ago. They're not even out of their box yet, but I'm going to break them out and do them over the holidays, and maybe at some point near the end of the Christmas holidays, I might play a game on channel of Star Wars Legion and get someone like Kev, who's a big Star Wars Legion player, to break me down in the rules, because I had played it and I was enjoying it, but I haven't played it since before I started this channel. So that's like, I started the channel in August 2020. So I always sort of joke that, like, you know, I don't remember the Wrath of Baal rules, and I haven't run the Wrath of Baal in like 3 weeks or something, or 3 months. So I don't remember fucking anything about Star Wars Legion. Don't remember any of the rules whatsoever. All I know is they don't even use D6. I remember that part. They use their own custom dice. What's everyone's thoughts on the Xmas boxes this year? Are they worth getting for Blood Angels? I actually didn't really look at the Space Marine box because I guess I already have a lot of Space Marines. I was more interested in the Thousand Suns box because you guys know that I had sort of like a small detachment of Thousand Suns I was building. And like, I do like the Thousand Suns box, but I just sort of justified it to myself. Like, I was like, no, I get too much stuff that still needs finished before I buy another giant box of Warhammer. What do people think of the Marine? But what was it? What was even in the Marine battle box? Is anyone getting it? Oh, I think it was the Imperial Fist. That was what it was. It was like a battle box with like aggressors and all that in it. I think there was a Raven Guard one as well, but I remember seeing the Imperial Fist one now. I thought it was kind of trashy. Yeah, they're much more probably pointed at Primaris, aren't they, right? And like, Primaris aren't brilliant for us at the moment, or they're not quite there yet. Oh, I like heavy intercessors. I think they're a cool model. I just don't know if they'll ever get any playtime. I bought 5 heavy intercessors with that Hill Team release, and I proxied them one time and thought, you know what, I actually don't mind these heavy intercessors, but like every time I'm building a list, I'm always trying to keep my troop choices, I guess my points spent on troops as low as possible, probably. So yeah, I just sort of felt like, as much as I thought heavy intercessors were a cool model, I don't think I'd recommend them. I'll paint them at some point, probably next year I'll get them painted. But always when it comes down to making troop choices in army lists, it always feels like troops are they're the section you want to, they're kind of troops for a reason, right? Like, they're not brilliant at killing, they're kind of gonna sit on an objective and not do amazing things, I guess. So like, yeah, that's my thought on troops. Like, as much as I like the heavy intercessors and the models are cool, and I guess toughness 5 troops with 3 wounds are cool, they are really expensive, you know, like 150 points for a squad of troops. I don't even like spending 120 points on infiltrators anymore, and people always talk about how good they think infiltrators are. I'm like, man, infiltrators are good, but they're also expensive, right? The Knight and the Custodian boxes are probably the best 40k boxes. Highland Wishes Gravis never existed. I'm still bitter that they changed aggressors from last edition Highland, because last edition I really had aggressors putting in work in my Blood Angels list. I used to run them right down the middle, advancing them, because when they advanced they didn't take any penalty to shooting, right? Because that was like their special rule. You could advance them without any penalty shooting. So you could still shoot like all their bolter shots when they advanced. And I used to run them right down the middle with like my banner bearer. The 5 up Feel No Pain was the banner last edition. So I had like really survivable aggressors in the middle of the board. And then it feels like AP wasn't as big a problem last edition either. Like, there wasn't so many armies running around with giant amounts of AP, I felt like. I really loved the fact that if you didn't move them, they could shoot twice. So it felt like once you got them into the middle of the board, there was like some really, I guess, like, I felt like it was high tactical play. Like, it was like you're putting them where you want them to be next turn. So basically, like, next turn you kind of didn't have to move them, and you would get to shoot twice. And I felt like it was like a rewarding mechanic for a unit. But yeah, I get why people don't like them this edition. Well, for one, the aggressors lost a bunch of their special rules, I guess, and then for 2, they just don't really work for Blood Angels anymore. Mike's back to running Vanguard because troops aren't performing, or he doesn't feel like they're worth it. I kind of agree, but I also like CP. I like CP a lot. So as much as I have fallen out of love with troops, I haven't fallen out of love with CP, so that's why I don't run Patrol Vanguard. We do have the army list show tomorrow night, though, so if anyone wants to submit a list, that will be out. We will be back here live tomorrow night to look at armies, so... I mean, if you've got something that you think I should be doing, or if you've got something that's working well, please submit it and we'll go over it. Do that every Sunday on the channel. I missed CP, but my percentage raised. Aggressors lost all of their special rules. It's terrible that they did that. I mean, the reason that the aggressors lost all their special rules is basically because of Ultramarines, right? And I think this is the problem with, like... I think this is possibly the problem with chapter tactics being so vastly different, is like Ultramarines could really abuse aggressors last edition. And I guess in the same way it's the same as like Black Templars were able to abuse like Redemptor Dreadnoughts, I guess. So it's like you have these chapters that can really abuse one certain unit's mechanic, and then it's like, well, they have to change that, and because of that it makes them worse for everybody, and then they're not sure how to fix it. So I don't know what the future holds for aggressors. I feel sad about it though. I bought and painted 6 aggressors. I really liked them. I guess in some ways they're just the Centurions of 8th edition, were they? Just sort of slightly different, bit slower. Possibly just a bit more long-range firepower. Right. I did get all the washing done. And I did tidy up a bunch of stuff as well. Here says, hey John, just finished kit bashing a jump captain from the Gardas Steel Soul model with magnetized most of the weapons. Nice. I like Infernal Pistols and Thunderhammers on captains at the moment. I have done for a while actually. I think I just need my captains to have the ability to do 3 damage with a swing in close combat. I really hate captains that only have 2 damage weapons. Or yeah, I mean, I guess different people have different priorities. Mine seems to be like, I need my captain to do 3 damage a hit. I guess you can do that with a Master Crafted Relic Blade as well, which is kind of the same as the Thunderhammer, but I guess it's up to you how you do it, right? Hammer of Ball should get a run out. Do I magnetize? Yes, sometimes. I mean, these guys have no weapon options, so these guys aren't magnetized, but like the bunch of the Death Company I did recently and a bunch of the Vanguard Veterans I did recently are magnetized. If you watch the video that I made, it's called like Battle Ready Painting Sanguinary Guard. I like magnetized the Sanguinary Guard on that video, and I actually gave him some Death Watch parts to try and make him a little bit unique. So yeah, I do sometimes magnetize. Some of the older models where I have a lot of the models and I have a lot of duplicates, I maybe don't bother. But on vehicles and dreadnoughts and stuff as well, I tend to always magnetize because those things are expensive, and I don't like rebuying expensive models for different weapon options if I can avoid it, I guess, right? I want I want Blood Angels to get a hammer like that Votan has, where it's a D3 plus 3 Thunder Hammer, and if you roll a 6 to wound, all the damage becomes mortal wounds. That's the fucking hammer I want, right? I think there's no -1 to hit on that hammer as well. What do I carry my army in when I take it to tournaments? I got a case from KR Cases, and it's just like a lot of foam. I mean, you can buy those sort of cases from just about anywhere with different foam inserts, but the website, let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah, I'll put it in chat. It's a website where you can buy like loads of different foam inserts, and like some of the cases come with different foam inserts, and you can kind of just, when you're buying a case, you can just say like, hey, these are the 3 foam inserts I want. And each of the foam inserts have like different cutouts for different models and stuff. So I've been using my case from KR now for like probably like 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, and it's in perfect condition. So like, would I recommend them for somebody if you've never had a case before? Yeah. I've also seen, I think there's one in the US called Battle Foam. I don't know Battle Foam, but I did see some videos of their cases on YouTube, and like, they look really high quality. So, I mean, I know you can get, some people magnetize their models and then stick them to like metal sheets inside bases and trays, but I haven't had really any problem with the foam stuff. I tend to varnish all my models though. So I guess like, as long as you're gonna varnish them, then I guess at some point you don't have to worry too much about paint scraping off if they're in foam or anything like that. So, alright, my eyes are starting to get a little bit foggy, so I'm gonna be ending here in just a minute. I have PTSD from Colin throwing his army into the bag. Yeah, Colin's crazy, man. He's just insane, actually. Like, I could never do that with my models. I don't even think he varnishes his either. Maybe that's a Christmas present. I need to get Colin get him a box with some foam in it. Sellers has Battle Foam. What do you think of it, Sellers? Is it good? Is it worth getting? I saw some Battle Foam cases that were made for taking your models on planes, I guess, and stuff. And I mean, they genuinely look good. I just don't know if logistically you can really get Battle Foam in the UK. Mike used a pizza box. That's going to give somebody PTSD. What armies do you think Blood Angel is the best matchup against right now? Ones you're always happy to be paired up against in tournaments. There isn't a shitload of best matches at the moment, is there? I usually beat Death Guard. What else do I find easy? I mean, I've beat Votan twice, I've played them twice, so I mean, I'm 100% against Votan, so you could say Votan. I mean, I usually do okay against other Marines. I mean, I usually beat other Marines, I feel like. I don't like Sisters at the moment, I don't like Necrons, I don't like Tyranids, I don't like Harleys, I don't like Drukhari, I don't like Eldari. I mean, but I mean, all these armies I'm listing are all like 54% win rate armies, right? Like, they're 54. Oh, orcs. I like orcs. Advice against orcs is stay away from them until they call their wag, right? When they call their wag, their whole army suddenly gets advance and charge. And I think they all get an extra attack for like the turn they call their wag, and I think they all get the extra attack in the turn after they call their wag. So when you're playing orcs, you want to shoot them from maximum range for like 2 turns, he'll have to call his wag probably in turn 2, worst case turn 3, and then really you want to be like 20 inches away from him when he calls his wag, so that he can't advance and charge and be on top of you. Bearing in mind, I think all orcs get to reroll all their charges for free, right? So like, you want to be 20 inches away from him, at least when he calls his wag. You don't want to be up on top of him, because he'll just overwhelm you. You do that, and then I think orcs are pretty easy to deal with. They don't have a lot of AP, right, which hurts them into Armor of Contempt, so like Sandguard are probably just always going to save on 2s, that sort of thing. Alright, yeah, my eyes are totally glazed over now. I can hardly even see my models, so I am going to bed in a second. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight, guys. We are going to be back tomorrow night, as always. Haven't quite worked out what Wednesday night stream will be yet, but as soon as I do, I will let you guys know in Discord or whatnot. That's great hanging out with all you guys as well. Please hit that like button before you leave tonight's stream. I do appreciate it. And I once bought 2 cereal plastic boxes, and they were full of minis. That's the same. That would give me PTSD if you just threw all your models into a cereal box like that. Even worse, it's a plastic box like that. For some reason, the plastic box just sounds worse than a cardboard box. I don't really know why, but I think it just sounds worse. Alright, I think these guys are getting there. I'm feeling very happy with them. I like the yellow beak helmets. The armor looks reasonably decent with the washer on top of it. The joints and stuff. So next up, I think we'll Agrax Earthshade all the red, every recess, every joint. I'll Agrax Earthshade all that. Then I'll tidy all that up, and then what have we got to do to finish it? Let me think. Oh, then probably just maybe like do some washes and highlights on the weapons, and then I think I'm done. And that'll be transfers, I guess. But that'll be a squad done. Another squad of guys done, which is great. I don't finish squads that often. This year hasn't been particularly productive for me finishing squads, but like Nathan, I feel like I do paint all the time. I just don't necessarily finish models, I guess. No, thanks so much for watching tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's got a green name as well for supporting the channel. Thanks to everybody else that's hanging out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for the army show. Enjoy your evening. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.